Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today we're going to be taking a look at NCUTI Gatwa's recent comments over on The One Show. He recently appeared on The One Show, I believe, to promote his theatre work, and obviously, naturally, as it was always going to, the question of Doctor Who was always going to be asked, and he gave this response to a question of basically, what's your one regret about Doctor Who, about doing Doctor Who? Now, I imagine there's probably a couple of those, but obviously, the one that he says is one that I'm also very regretful he also didn't get to do as well, and yeah, it's very interesting the way he responds to this from what I've seen, so subscribe if you're new, that would be greatly appreciated. I know I've not done a video in a while, but to be honest, there's not been much Doctor Who stuff going on, and I've just not really been feeling it, you know? And if you're not feeling it, I'm not going to, like, force out videos just because. You know, if I want to do that, then I would. I'm just going to cover stuff as it comes out, and if I find it interesting enough. Obviously, there are little things coming out to do with Doctor Who, but there's a lot of, like, multimedia and smaller stuff, and I don't want to just, like, spam feeds for no reason if I don't really care. So, there you go. But subscribe if you're new, and let's dive right in. Shout out to Matthew Purchase for the clip on Twitter. Obviously, this is from The One Show, but shout outs to Matthew Purchase for putting this clip up so we can all watch it together. Hopefully I don't get claimed.
The Who, which he was so brilliant in. You have just one little regret.
I never got to fight a Dalek. Dalek or a Cyberman. So, I mean, it's just the crux of Doctor Who. Yeah, so might do that.
Ooh.
Might go fight a Dalek.
By the way,
I had actually heard this
another
bit.
secret announcement
There
on
we go.
your show is like the hot
We call
place
Judy
secret,
Dench.
Yeah.
like no one else in the world knows that this is happening, and we're like, you guys are like, what is there, truth serum in this?
I know.
I thought it
Only on the One Show, Jamie.
More
Only on the
now.
One Show. And look, hey, darling viewer, don't forget, tickets to Shooty's play, Born with Teeth at London's Wisdom Theatre are available now. Again, Freaky
What
Friday,
other
it's
secrets are we going to tell
It
here
was a
today?
nice pairing.
It truly was.
We love it.
Sadly, that's all we got time for tonight.
So there you go, there's the clip, and yeah, so very interesting. He says that the one regret he had was not being able to face a Dalek or a Cyberman, and it cuts away from his face here, but you can kind of tell in his voice there's a genuine level of kind of like regret, you know, genuine level of regret of, man, I really wanted to face a Dalek or a Cyberman. I mean, that's the one thing he said he wanted to do from the jump, and my friend Channel Pup pointed this out over on Twitter, but I do think it's right. We know for a fact that there was a 2-season commission from Disney, and that was what was locked in for this Doctor. And so if that was the case, as much as I was in favour of a Dalek break initially, you should have penciled in a Dalek script into one of those episodes. If you knew you only had an actor for that period of time, the Dalek should have been put in there somewhere, I do believe. Because I think it is a fundamental part of any Doctor's run, is meeting the Dalek specifically. The others, you know, we can take or leave. You know, Matt Smith never fought the Master, John Pertwee never fought the Cybermen, but having a Doctor that didn't face any of them is kind of crazy to me, and I do find that unfortunate. What I do find the most interesting about this clip, though, is that he says he might do that, implying that the door is open for another appearance from the 15th Doctor, from NCUTI Gatwa. Now, whether it is in that sort of John Pertwee capacity that I talked about, like in the 5 Doctors, where he interacts with the Cybermen for the first time, on screen anyway, obviously I know the Doctor would have met them in his timeline before then, or whether it'll be, you know, in a one-off episode type capacity, I don't really know, or like a smaller Tales of the TARDIS thing, but it definitely, like, seems that the door is more open for a Gatwa return. It doesn't seem, you know, like a Christopher Eccleston situation, for example, where it's left on bad terms. It's obvious that the door is somewhat open for him, so I am glad of that. It's very interesting seeing him talk about Doctor Who now that we've got some distance from it. Obviously, you know, I still don't think we're ever going to fully know the ins and outs of what went on there until, you know, 30 years from now, when it gets to be in a collection box set for 60 quid or something. But, yeah, I mean, at least from what he says here, you know, saying he might come back and do that, it implies that the door is open for Ncuti to make at least one more appearance, which I am glad about. Was weird seeing Jamie Lee Curtis there. I assume she's just promoting something else, but she's always fun. I mean, maybe he just said might do that as like a flippant, like, one-off thing, but I don't know. It's not the sort of response you give when... It's not the answer you give when, like, ties are irrevocably gone. Do you know what I mean? Makes me wonder if maybe they will do a thing where, like, Billie Piper is some sort of fake-out Rose Tyler swap, and maybe the 15th Doctor does exist somewhere. I doubt that they'll do that, but a man can dream. A man can dream. Because I do like Ncuti a lot. I really do. I think that there's so much potential with him. And I think that's just one of the reasons why I've not been particularly motivated about Doctor Who stuff recently, is that I did like his Doctor, and it ended on terms that just really bummed me out, to be honest. And I mean, you guys can see from my videos talking about, you know, the reality war or the Billie Piper stuff, like, it just didn't work for me. And I think to a certain extent, I'm still working through that. You know, I'll get over it eventually. Like all things, it's just a TV show at the end of the day. But, like, I hope that in whatever form, you know, the show takes after this, the door is at least somewhat left open for a one-off return from Gatwa. As I said, whether that is in an anniversary capacity, whether that is in, like, a one-off mini-sode, Tales of the TARDIS, Night of the Doctor type capacity, or whether it is more in, like, a kind of Joe Martin-ish cameo capacity, something like that. You know, I mean, I think if, you know, 13 came back in reality, or Fugitive comes back all the time these days, Paul McGann got to come back, you know, I think why not give Ncuti one more go, just to sort of tie up that one thing that I think, you know, is always gonna be one of those unanswered what ifs. You know, otherwise, what if the 15th Doctor faced a Dalek? Again, I do think that they should have accounted for that ahead of time, but, you know, it is what it is. It feels like the equivalent of, ironically, because obviously I was talking about Superman recently, doing a Superman reboot and just never acknowledging, like, Lex Luthor at all. Like, sure, you could do it, but, like, he's so core to the character that it just feels weird not to include him. But that's all I got time for. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.